My name is Cynthia McLaughlin, and I am Associate Professor of Dance at Keene State College and an artist. I started teaching in graduate school. I had a fellowship in graduate school, and so that was back in the late 90s. So I've been teaching for many decades. Full-time, I would say, at Keene State for about 7 years now.
I'd rather you get here early. It's that arm coming over the toe. When you do that tour, you know, like went to the floor. Let's just make that happen. I actually like that, going to the floor. Going to the floor? Yeah, let's just have that happen. And then we don't ever have to worry if
When I was a young girl, my mother loved watching old musicals on TV. And I always just loved the sort of golden age of Singing in the Rain and Oklahoma and all those amazing musicals, and just really fell in love with dance from a young age as an expressive art form. I started dancing when I was 4 years old, and then actually became quite serious when I was 9 years old. I auditioned for a program that was a semi-professional program, and we toured and danced several hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, all the way through high school. Which of course were my formative years, but I actually spent a lot of time in New York City during that time and studied with Alvin Nicolai and Murray Lewis, which was just really, really incredible thing to do as a young person. But then in my professional career, I worked with a company called Boris Willis Moves in Washington, D.C., which was a postmodern contemporary company that also had some roots in street dance, hip-hop styles, sort of small influences in that way as well. I really love starting with story. I love fairy tales and myths and the sort of imagery and illusions that I think are just really sort of deep in our psyche. I especially love stories that you can find in sort of cross-cultural sort of research, because I'm just so curious why these archetypes want to surface continually and they stay with us for so long. So I really love starting from that place of story. But then I don't necessarily feel that I have to tell the story to the audience. I don't feel a need for the audience to get some sort of linear narrative from what I'm making, but there's that sense of something being familiar, almost like when you wake up from a dream and you can almost remember it. It has that sort of keen familiarity, I guess, that I'm looking for. Finding your sort of agency in your body is what I love about dance, and I feel like contemporary dance practices do that really fully. My sort of idea of contemporary dance form is that you take your history, your sort of questions of dance. So maybe you've been a dancer who've done jazz your whole life, and then you come into the contemporary dance form, and the idea is that you're just sort of probing that material for sort of new ways to look at it. So you might take a traditional technique. You could take ballet, you could take old school modern, but then the contemporary lens allows you to interrogate the material in a different sort of way and make it really personal and make it really current. It's called contemporary for a reason. And so in that way I find that it allows for the dancer, or the professional dancer, the student dancer, to just make these sort of really powerful discoveries.
Under your arm.
I guess I really don't go about making dances where I'm trying to do something. To me, that ends up feeling a bit didactic. I really am much more interested in entering a sort of communion, a sort of conversation with the audience. I think one naturally, and myself included, can have these moments where, oh, this is this thing I want you to know or I want you to say, and then I've learned to really check myself in that place. I don't want the audience to feel that I'm speaking at them. I'm more interested in like giving them spaces to be crazy curious and to want to sort of delve into the material, and then you'd want to come and watch it over and over and over again.
And look out. Then what used to happen after this?
I'm really interested in the work that Crystal Pite is creating. She's just such a strong female choreographic voice right now, and she's just daring and provocative. She's really interested in story, so she's gone back to a lot of sort of ancient mythology and just brings it to us in this way that when you leave her work, you feel sort of called to action in a way that feels almost primordial. Her choreography is really physical and fierce and just super inspiring.
I want everyone to go.
Figure that out this next time. It has an urgent feel to it. I think it will have. Yeah, very much. Every year we create a performance called Evening of Dance. I think it was originally called The Evening of Dance, and it was An Evening of Dance. Now it's Evening of Dance. And it's this tradition, though, each spring that people look forward to where, from work that we've been working on all year long. I also mentor students to create their own work. So we have a course called Research and Choreography. And every fall, at the end of the fall term, we showcase those works as well. A huge misconception I think the public has on dancing is the way in which a non-dancer might think of moves. And really, dancing is a series of problem solving. And there's this sort of constant questioning that goes on in the body and negotiating that goes on in the body. And so it takes this sort of inquiry and questioning and almost a sort of mathematics, parts of the brain that nothing else accesses in this type of problem solving. And one of my goals as a teacher actually is to often help students to learn how to articulate that sort of research that's happening in the executions that they do. So it's not only in the creative research, but when they're in a technique class and they are drilling something and they're repeating over and over again, it's more than that. There are systems that they are calibrating in their body. They're really fine-tuned sort of mapping and reprogramming that they're doing in the body that they learn to do on a certain level, that then bringing language to it is a whole other task. And so dancers often don't do that, and they don't know how to explain the work they're doing. And so for someone that's a non-dancer, it can be easy to just see it as an execution, as a talent that someone is cultivating, rather than sort of the deep sort of questioning and problem solving that a student is really accomplishing.
Just wait, I'll tell you when. Emma, Alex, Ashley.
There's so much I love about teaching, but really it just comes down to the relationships. And I love having this opportunity to specifically teach this age group of this time of launching from whatever the home environment was to the sort of more adult life, and being that sort of mentor to say, rethink the rules. What are the places where you're imagining rules? And let's look at that. Do we really have to follow those rules? And where can we get a little wild? And where can we get disciplined, right? So where can we be really disciplined and really dig in and work hard and find that rigor? And where can we just blast it all open and be really free? I love that. If you want to start dancing, just go take class. And if you don't immediately love it, go take a different class. Because there are a million ways to teach dance. There are a million different teachers out there with different approaches, but you just need to be doing it for hours and hours and hours and hours.